Hey, what's up guys, it's your boy 007 here to do another review on how we think the market is gonna look coming into next week. So we had some pretty crazy day today with GameStop having a huge run due to being like massively shorted and Wall Street Bet trying to pump it up, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. As of right now, we're looking at the dollar index. We talked about this getting a rejection around here last week in last Friday's video. So we got the rejection, and as I always mention, if the dollar is going up, the market will be going down. If the dollar is going down, then the market is going up. So we're having a slight move down in the market for the dollar index. So that means that the market should continue to move up, which is bullish. It's a bullish signal for the market, right? If that continues to move further down, as far as QQQ, last week we were talking about some consolidation, with the rotation into like the XOF sector as it was hitting the top, and then but we also mentioned that overall we're still really bullish for the financial sector. But we expected this pullback from the double top area, tracing all the way back to the March levels, right, of 2020. So we hit that level, we rejected a little bit, which is perfect, had that slight pullback. Now we're just looking for buying opportunities. So anywhere from $29 to $30 are great buying opportunity for the financial sector. Me personally, I'm probably gonna look into Bank of America or Citibank because they had a great earnings report, and I think as banks, I think those banks will continue to outperform with the COVID recovery and everything. So that's on the financials. And as far as the Qs, we got some big ER coming into next week that we're gonna, that's gonna tell us which direction the whole market is gonna move in general as well. From AMD to Microsoft to Apple and Facebook, those are gonna be some big movers, especially Tesla as well. That could move the market if they go down. If they had a bad earnings report, the whole market could go down with them. If they all had great earnings report and continue to outperform, and expect the market to continue to grind up, expect the market to continue to break out and keep returning us more greens. So that's the same thing with SPY as well. Last week we were saying worst case scenario, maybe SPY will pull back to the $370 level for us. We didn't get that. We had a nice bounce around 373 area, and we held that level, and it looks like we're moving back up. So it's a little bit iffy, but it looks like we're moving back up on SPY. And so let's look at some of the trades that we're talking about just now. So for Bank of America, we could see some recovery here at this line. So that's about 31.29. That could be a nice buying opportunity. It's been selling off a little bit after the ER, and we kind of expect that coming because I had a huge run already. So I think here's a nice buying opportunity, and worst case scenario, I'll probably even average down to like $29 area, and then just look for it to bounce and move back up again. So kind of like same thing that happened last ER. Came back down a little bit, buying opportunity, and for it to move back up again. So just continue to look for that. Same thing happened in the ER before that as well. Had a really solid ER as they ran into ER, pulled back, and presented that buying opportunity, and continued to ran further. But it's a longer trade though. It's a huge long trade. The stock doesn't move a lot, so this is great for like value investors. But for day traders, it's not that great. It's gonna be a slow mover. But I definitely think it's a good opportunity there. We also talked about Apple quite a few times as well for tech sector in our daily streams and stuff. It has presented a lot of great opportunities for buying dip at the 126 level. There's a bunch of catalysts for Apple between EV cars and their VR stuff, so it's definitely very interesting. We're seeing some moves up every time it hit the bottom here. So it's held that support really well, extremely well around the 126, 127 area. we had a price target to 137 and 138 earlier in the week, and it hit. What was that? Where's that price target? So this over here, we had that price target. We talked about, Apple with EV run, look for a possible target to 138 area. So we got that target that hit really well. So that's pretty good. It could even run further with the breakout, above 138, it could run even further. Who knows? Another stock extremely interested about is Bidu as well. They talked about doing a Hong Kong listing. Last time Baba did this, Alibaba did this, it had a huge run. So Baidu has been a great buying the dip opportunity. Every time pull back, ran up the next day, pull back, ran up the next day, just pull back and run up the next day a lot. So this is something we're looking for with a price target around 273 going into February. Like, I think the Chinese Lunar New Year is around February 13th. So going to here, we're expecting to hit 273 level at least with that run into second listing. So this is kind of as bullish as like a stock getting added into the S&P 500. Expect like a huge run on that. But as far as the market, it's nothing much we're looking for. It's just it's just a dollar index going down. Dollar index continues to go down. Expect gold and the general market to move up. Even Bitcoin as well, because it's almost considered trading against currency now. And the other thing I guess we could take a look at is see how oil is doing. That's also another indicator for the market, as oil is always a good indicator to see how economic activities are and things like that. So oil has been pulling back a little bit. It's been looking a little bit bearish, but we could probably bounce soon. Look for the oil to bounce around that $51 area, give or take, because long term there's a lot of speculation that the OPEC and the rest of the world, they want to see oil back to $60, trading around 52 right now on the futures. So they expect it to go back to $60. So if it hits $60, that's bullish for the market and economy. But there are definitely a few things that we're a little bit worried about right now. There is a lot of hedge funds out there, like a lot of big famous stock managers saying possible crash in the market and things like that. So that's a little bit scary. There's also, the COVID news with the new variation. They said now it's more infectious and more deadly. So that's a little bit scary as well. And we'll take a look at the bond as well. So FALN was something that I found that was really interesting. This is kind of like a high yield bond, and you can look at this in two ways. Either it's really bullish on the fact that we got a huge volume coming into this. So look at that, that's a huge volume right there. So we've never gotten something that big before. One of the most ridiculous volume ever. They said it was high as like back in like 2017 or something. So usually when you see big volume going into this like that, this is a pretty high yield bond. So it's like kind of one of those like high risk bonds. Returns a higher percentage. Now you can look at it on the bullish side where everybody is expecting economic recovery. So that's why people are investing in this high yield bond, if they expect that the economic activity is going to do better. But at the same time, if people invest in bonds, they're also getting really fearful of the market. If there's a huge volume coming in, that means some of the bigger players are investing in this, and the reason they may be investing in this is that they might be worried a little bit about the general market or possible crash coming. So instead of staying in cash, they want to stay safe and go into that, So that's something that's a possibility as well. TLT has also been choking a little bit. It looked like it wanted to move back up here, but it didn't. It just kind of choked. So we're seeing that heavy buy into that. Maybe we'll get some move in TOT as well. Not too sure on that. But the other thing that I wanted to talk about was GameStop. That was something that just went really nuts today. That was probably the biggest hype on Friday, because we've seen so much volume going into it. You know, so much people buying into GameStop because of Wall Street bets. They were posting all day buying to GameStop and things like that. All because Citron tried to short them and saying, you know, they were saying 5 reasons why GameStop was such a crappy stock, and everybody ended up jumping onto this boat and pumping it all the way up to almost $80. So the next stock that we're trying to see if it follows this boat is Blackberry, because another stock that the Wall Street bet community was talking a lot about was Blackberry. So seeing GameStop moving up and coming up to this big level, we think that Blackberry could probably do the same thing, possibly. So this is an interesting trade going into next week if you guys are trying to get into that. You don't want to risk it a little bit. So Blackberry coming up. The next one of the bigger level was back in 2009, was $36. If we get enough people shorting Blackberry, that could present the same opportunity as GameStop, because the only reason GameStop went up so much was because they were shorted more than the share that was available. There was it had 130% short flow, and that's something that's almost rare, because there's more people trying to short and borrow the shares than there was available on the market. And usually when that happens, it can cause a short squeeze, because if these people were able to move the price up, then what would happen is it would cause the people that are shorting the stock to liquidate themselves and buy back into the position. But the problem is, as they're trying to rush to buy back into the position, there aren't enough shares available. So they're setting really high bids just to try to buy back the position and cover themselves. So that's why we saw that such huge run in it. But aside from that, there's nothing much going on to next week. I'm definitely starting to get a little bit cautious, because I started taking profit in some of our tech stuff and some of our place between Apple, CRM, and Big C. We started taking some profits in there. So next week, we're just gonna look to enter some trades in slower stuff and in the financial market. But that's pretty much it on the review for this week. I hope that helps you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to message me or hit me up. Take care. Have a great day. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe.